Marvel is dead. At least is what I keep hearing. But we're going to talk about that more on today's episode of the Geek Watch podcast.
This is the Geek Watch podcast with Brian Hatcher and Mandy Petrie.
Greetings, Geek Watchers, and welcome to episode 208 of the Geek Watch podcast. I'm Brian Hatcher, and with me, as always, Geek Watch's own resident geek goddess, Mandy Petrie.
Hello, Brian.
So we were gone for a little bit where there was some weather issues, and then I had a toothache, and we're back.
We're back.
We have a few things to catch up on. We can start out with Marvel and all the news that's been rolling out with Marvel. We've been talking about how after the strike, there was still going to be a void. Now Chapek is gone and we have Bob Iger back. And we've talked about before how he felt that a lot of the failures Marvel's had, it's been because none of the production has been babysat.
They haven't had enough corporate influence.
Apparently so. Well, they are certainly influencing because it seems like everything's getting reshoots. Captain America 4 now, they're doing, I've heard anywhere from 4 to 7 months worth of reshoots.
Ugh.
They've cut out an entire plot line in the movie that has to do with the Serpent Society. They're doing rewrites and re-edits. That's going to get delayed. I'm not sure how long. And to add insult to injury, James Gunn, who's now co-head of DC, the DC movie side over at Warner Brothers, apparently he took Marvel's best VFX group with him.
Huh.
So they're no longer working for Marvel. Marvel's had these issues with VFX, and we've talked about that. It's just getting worse. And we can talk about Marvel this year because we've already had one of the 3 Marvel projects we're getting, which is Echo.
Yep.
And have you had a chance to see any of it?
Just the first.
Just the first one. So what did you think of the first one?
I enjoyed it. I thought it was really interesting. Not too much rehashing, but the rehashing that they did brought in her culture side of it, which I really enjoyed. I think that was a good idea, and what we've had so far, I've appreciated it.
I forget. Now, you were watching some of What If. Did you ever finish?
Nope.
How far did you get?
No, just those 2 episodes.
Yeah. Well,
Done nothing.
Well, then you don't know who Kokori is. There are some references that feel like that episode.
Okay.
The actor who plays Bonnie which I don't think Bonnie appears in the first episode. We don't see her yet. But she voices Kokori in What If. Yeah. The What If, I think, you definitely need to check that out.
All right.
That's going to be something we need to talk about.
Yeah.
But I will say, because I have seen all the episodes of Echo, and if you look at the reviews online right now, they're not good.
Oh.
And probably the first episode is the best.
Okay.
And especially with the fight scene between Echo and Daredevil.
Yes.
Which was amazing.
Uh-huh.
But I can see why some people were a little bit upset by Echo because it was promised as a return to form. This was going to be just like the Netflix Marvel series. Very gritty, very tough. This is TVMA.
This is Iron Fist. This is Punisher.
Well, let's not say it was Iron Fist.
Jessica Jones.
Yeah, it was going to be that type of grittiness, the Punisher, and that sort of thing. And that's what they were promised. And I don't really feel like this was a TVMA series. Yeah, people were getting shot. And compared to other Marvel properties, yeah, it's a little bit rougher. But compared to TV normally, I really don't even think it's an MA. I would say maybe it's like a PG-13, which, don't get me wrong, I don't feel like this had to be a TVMA. But if you're promising it, and you go in and you don't get it, I can understand why you're going to be disappointed by that, especially with how brutal the Netflix series were.
Yeah.
So if you're going in with that expectation, well, you're not going to get it. For me, I didn't go in with really any expectations. I was like, just let it be what it is. And for me, I went in knowing that it was supposed to be an 8-episode series, and they cut 3 episodes out of it, and was only
kind of got crammed.
things got crammed in. There were
Yeah.
some plot threads that didn't get picked up. And I had the old grumpy person's version of Geek Colored Glasses, which is I just don't expect much. I wasn't as hard on it as I think a lot of reviewers were. And I feel like this is the trap of being a reviewer of a television show or a movie, especially if you're an online reviewer, which is you go in with some expectation that you need to find something wrong with it so that you have something to talk about and criticize. And if you go in with that expectation, then you're going to find
That's all
something.
you're looking for, yeah.
Yeah.
And with Marvel deciding to dump the whole thing at once, they didn't do a weekly show
Right.
like they normally do with these episodes. And the fact they cut 3 episodes completely out of it, and because of the editing, episodes that were left are anywhere from 30 minutes to 45, so you don't know how long you're going to be in there. It fluctuates. If you're with all of that and all the trouble that they were talking about with Echo and everything that we've been dealing with, it's almost in a sense set up to be criticized. It seems like with all of that stuff, as a reviewer, you got to go in and criticize it. You got to be mean to it because it's been set up to be a punching bag. I'm not saying it's like the best thing Marvel ever did.
But it could have been better
Yeah,
if it had been what it was supposed to have been.
Yeah, there are parts of it they could have developed and made it work better, but I don't think it's bad as a lot of reviewers out there are saying that it is. I just feel like that's the popular thing to say right now for a bunch of reasons, which we are not going to get into. It's just girls in it, like lots and lots of girls. So it's getting a drubbing that perhaps it doesn't deserve. But if you're looking for the downfall of Marvel for whatever reason, you can point to Echo and go, well, this is the beginning of the end if you really want to. And we don't have a lot of Marvel coming up. We only really have 2 other things. At the end of the year, we'll have Agatha Harkness, and we don't really know much about that at all.
Nope.
And we do have the Marvel adjacent Spider-Man Rogues Gallery movies coming out. And I'm trying to avoid a lot of the news for Madam Web because this is one of the issues that I have
I was thinking of Deadpool.
Yeah, well, Deadpool is coming up here soon. Between the stuff I'm hearing about Madam Web, I have to admit I'm trying to avoid some of the news articles that are coming out because it feels like everything is just geared to be really negative. And because I guess that's what sells. It amazes me just how often I'll go in and I'll see an article that has a title on it that sounds doom and gloom, and what it turns out to be is simply it's clickbait.
Right.
And it's just like that. I get where you're trying to get people to click on your article and read it, but there's so much speculation that's going on right now. And I think in a real sense, it's muddying the waters, especially with, like I said, with Marvel, there's only really 2 other things Marvel's doing this year and only really 1 movie. And especially with Deadpool, someone online said this, and I have to agree with them, is that Deadpool is probably the last film that has a built-in goodwill already built into it. And people are really looking forward to Deadpool 3 because we like the first one, we love the second one, and it's going to be really fun to see what he does within the Marvel Cinematic Universe, assuming they get left alone and they're allowed to do.
Right.
But apparently Bob Iger doesn't want to leave people alone. That's the question. Is Deadpool 3 being left alone or is it being tampered with? There's a lot of speculation that's going on, but as far as like real actual news, there's not a lot of that out right now. And I feel like that's a real detriment to a lot of what's going on in Hollywood right now and basically them trying to rebuild. And it's like everything that's coming out of Hollywood is negative, whether it is all the Marvel properties and what's going on there, the whole idea of the Oscar snub for Barbie, and all the memes that are going on with that right now. And it seems like everything right now is just like dogpiling on Hollywood. And there's some Hollywood stuff I do want to talk about here in a little bit, just briefly, but tied into something that I got to see last week and which we'll talk about. But it just feels like I feel like you're smarter than I am because you don't read a lot of this.
Oh, yeah, I stay.
You keep your
I stay away from it, yeah.
You keep your geek colored glasses clean.
Yep.
And I feel like in a real sense, I like to stay on top of stuff. I like to get an idea about really cool stuff that's coming up. I read a lot of it, and I'm feeling less and less inclined to read a lot of news coming out of Hollywood because it just seems like it's all negative. It's mostly speculation. It's definitely doom and gloom. I don't really see a lot of a use to follow that stuff, especially where I wouldn't feel comfortable bringing it up here because I don't want to boost the signal on a lot of this stuff because it's just pointless to me. It really is. Like I said, I tend to sit on a lot of this crazy news that comes out because if somebody's just writing an article but they're speculating, I don't see where that's really going to be productive, where it's not something that I feel like we need to dwell on. When there's real news to report, we can certainly talk about that stuff. But going back to Echo, I really liked a lot of what was in it. I feel like a lot of people tore it down when
It deserved better.
probably it certainly
Do you
deserved
think we
better.
could do like a hashtag Schneider Cut campaign to get the rest of it? Like, we want those episodes.
Yeah, well,
We want what we were denied.
it would be interesting to see what they would have done with that. I'm almost scared to ask for a Snyder cut of anything because the last time we got a Snyder cut of something, it was a Snyder cut. But I did enjoy it. I thought it was better than a lot of people said that it was. There were some things that maybe if it had another episode or two or the 3 episodes, maybe it would have been better. But when Kevin Feige comes out and says about Echo, when he looked at the 8 episodes and said it's unreleasable that way, it makes you wonder, do you want to see 8 episodes of this? Does the 3 extra episodes, with more room to breathe, maybe they could have developed a few things, but what happens if that extra time just made it worse?
Right.
I don't feel like Kevin Feige would actually come out in public and say Echo as it is now is unwatchable if there weren't some serious problems with it, because that's just not productive. That would be like the dumbest thing he could say ever. But it's all speculation because he didn't go into any detail about it. But it's already been announced that we are not getting a second season of She-Hulk, that pretty much everything that's filming right now for Marvel is getting rewrites. It's getting revamped. Daredevil, they went back to a page 1 rewrite of the whole thing.
Oof.
Marvel is running scared right now because the Marvels didn't do well at all. And everybody's pointing fingers, and Marvel's going to have to get over all of that. They're going to have to figure out how to get back to business without really second guessing themselves, because as an artist, you want to give the people what they want, but you can't be thinking about it in the creative process. You can't write or paint or make music with it in the back of your mind. Well, how do I do this so that it gets the biggest audience? Or what do the people want? What kind of art should I create that will appeal to the most number of people? It doesn't work that way, as you well know. You have to be able to create something that is for you, first of all, because you're the first audience, but something that you're passionate about, and hope it finds an audience, certainly. But you're more likely to find an audience when you're creating for yourself first. And I feel like Marvel right now, where they were making billions of dollars movie after movie and trying to chase that again, they need to rebuild. They need to take the time to just put out good stuff and not worry about the box office, get back into the rhythm of putting out quality movies. But I wonder if Marvel, and I wonder about Hollywood, if they're in a place where they can do that right now. You're seeing some good movies come out that maybe some Hollywood studios will look at that and go, well, there's a way we can recapture a lot of this, but we have to change our paradigm. And the one movie that I feel has been a huge paradigm change from the way Hollywood tends to do what they do is Godzilla Minus One. And this last week, I saw Godzilla Minus One, minus color.
Yeah, how was that?
I didn't think you could make Godzilla scarier, but oh my God, was it scarier
Yeah?
in black and white.
Ooh.
It felt like news footage.
Oh, yeah.
First of all, everything that I had to say about Godzilla, everything we said about
Right, yes.
the original Godzilla still fits in. My one worry going into it was I had heard rumors that the black and white version was dubbed. which it wasn't.
Good.
So, but also I will say that this movie is breaking record after record.
Mm-hmm.
It is the first Japanese language movie to get an Oscar nomination.
Wow.
And it's getting an Oscar nomination for special effects,
Which it deserves.
which it absolutely deserves, and I hope that it wins.
Yeah.
I will say on that aspect about the special effects, even though I did love the black and white version, I'm glad the color version came out first, because I wouldn't have wanted anyone to go say, well, they did it in black and white to cover up the bad special effects.
Oh, no. So how about costumes? Did we get costumes for that one?
I don't think we did get costumes for that one.
Of course, that means Napoleon's going to get it, which is fine. It's fine, but it's always the historical biopics that
I'm
get
trying to remember if
the
Barbie
costumes.
did Barbie got a nod for the costumes.
I don't think Barbie got nearly as much as it should have.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, that was the big complaint about everything, about what we wanted from Barbie. It would have been a good, because designing all that pink was.
There was a lot of stuff they did with the set design that was stunning. And whether or not you think Margot Robbie deserved a lead actress Oscar for it, the fact that even the director didn't get a nod, it was completely weird.
Yeah.
But with Godzilla Minus One minus color, it wasn't that they just turned the color saturation all the way off and made it black and white. They went in and revamped it. The black and white, the contrast, they went in frame scene by scene and adjusted everything so that even in the night scenes, you could see everything.
Right.
I would say the black and white in Godzilla Minus One minus color was as sharp, as crispy as the black and white in Seven Samurai. I would compare it to that.
Okay.
It looked that good.
All right.
And you could notice a little bit of the film grain a little bit more. I don't know if this was something they added in post or this is just something you noticed more once it was in black and white. It felt a little bit more real, but with all the great characterization that they had in this movie, it was like that much more.
Mm-hmm.
And with the people who were in the theater, I could tell hadn't seen the color version. They were just,
Oh, yeah.
they were in shock. It's holy crap. I care about, the humans in a Godzilla
Right.
movie. I feel like Toho Studios has raised the bar once again. Hollywood's going to have to follow suit.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you got, a reported $15 million budget, and this is what you can do with it. I feel like Hollywood is going to have to figure out that what they need is not more special effects or some gimmick. They need the one thing that unfortunately they continue to demonstrate over and over again they think is the least important part, which is good scripts and good writing.
Mm-hmm.
If you got good scripts, good writing, if you have a good story, then you're able to do a lot more with a lot less. When you think about the budget of a blockbuster, whether it's Marvel or Warner Brothers, how many Godzilla Minus Ones they could make with the budget of one of these movies. And it's made so much money because people have loved it. And it's a return to really good filmmaking, which we haven't had in a long time.
Mm-hmm.
I really hope that there's a lesson that can be learned here. But there's some things that are coming out that I'm really interested to see. We got a full trailer for the new Ghostbusters movie.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
With a return of Walter Peck. So,
Great bad guy.
yeah.
Looking forward to that.
Yeah, we're going to see Dune Part 2, but 2024, it's going to be a chance for, hopefully, I would hope that Hollywood would be able to turn things around and reconsider a few things. In 2024, is there anything specifically that you're excited about, that you're looking forward to seeing?
Argyle, Agent Argyle, that's looking good.
Yeah.
Planet of the Apes, that's coming out. Oh, I can't think of right off the top of my head, but yeah, those are some of the movies. That's all I can think of right now.
Yeah. Well, we got Doctor Who that's going to be coming out here in a few months. And of course, the bad news is pouring in about Doctor Who now.
Yeah.
And the whole thing with Millie Gibson. They're shooting her second season. Everybody's got to do their speculations about it. And let's just give us good stuff to watch. I don't want to hear about all of that stuff. But there's good stuff coming. There's things to be excited about.
Definitely.
And I guess we'll find out.
We shall see.
And with that said, we come to the end of episode 208. Thank you for listening, and tune in next time for the latest in geek news and views with the Geek Watch podcast. For Mandy Petrie, this is Brian Hatcher, reminding all the Geek Watchers out there, We're all geeky about something. Be proud of yours. See you next time.
Thank you for listening to the Geek Watch podcast. If you enjoyed this program, don't forget to like and subscribe on your preferred platform and share this podcast on your social media. For links to all the ways you can listen to the Geek Watch podcast, as well as leave comments and suggestions, visit our website at geekwatch.net. The Geek Watch podcast is a Hanging J production.